Wire is brought to you by Resora. Elevate your real estate marketing with Resora. Effortlessly design, manage, and automate stunning email and social campaigns with our intuitive platform built for real estate. Say goodbye to complex marketing. Get started with your free account today at Resora.com. And by Notebook LM by Google. Unlock the power of your information with Notebook LM. Upload your documents and instantly access an expert AI that answers your questions, summarizes key points, and generates insights, all based on your specific sources. Become a knowledge master with Notebook LM. Try it now at notebooklm.google.
Well, it seems like everyone in real estate is kind of holding their breath right now.
Yeah.
Waiting to see what happens with mortgage rates.
Yeah, it's a little unnerving, isn't it? Like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly. And the shoe just won't drop. Despite the Fed cutting rates, mortgage rates have climbed back up. Almost 7% now.
I know, it's defying all logic. You'd think with the Fed cuts, rates would go down, but nope, they're going up. And that's putting a real damper on the housing market, especially for home builders.
Yeah, they're sitting on a ton of unsold homes right now.
A growing inventory, yeah. And it's not like it's going to get better anytime soon. Fannie Mae is predicting rates will stay above 6% for all of 2025.
Oh, wow. So we're stuck with these high rates for a while.
Looks like it. And that means housing starts have taken a nosedive.
Really? How bad is it?
Pretty bad. We haven't seen numbers this low since the last recession.
Yikes. That's got to be worrying for the economy as a whole.
It is. I mean, fewer housing starts mean fewer construction jobs, which could have a ripple effect on other industries.
It's like a domino effect.
Exactly. And speaking of potential job losses, there's a lot of talk about repealing the Clear Cooperation Policy.
Oh, right. That's the one that requires agents to share listings with other brokers, right?
Yep. And larger brokerages are pushing hard to get rid of it.
Why is that?
Well, they argue that it would give consumers more choices and more control over their listings. But smaller firms are worried about being squeezed out if they can't access those listings.
That makes sense. It could really shake things up in the industry.
It could. And to make things even more interesting, the Department of Justice is still investigating other ARS practices.
Oh, wow. What are they looking into?
Well, there are concerns about potential antitrust violations and how they set commission rates. It's all pretty complicated. And then there are the ongoing appeals against that recent commission lawsuit settlement.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Didn't NAR agree to make some changes to how commissions are disclosed?
Yeah, but some critics say it doesn't go far enough to protect consumers. They want more transparency.
So basically, there's a lot of uncertainty about the future of the industry.
Absolutely. It's a time of major change, both internally and externally.
It's kind of exciting and kind of scary all at the same time. Speaking of scary, have you seen the latest mortgage delinquency data?
I have. It's a little concerning. Delinquencies are at a 3-year high.
Oh, no. Is that because of the recent natural disasters?
Partly, yes. We're starting to see the fallout from those events. But it's important to remember that these numbers are still well below the long-term average.
Okay, so it's something to monitor, but not necessarily a cause for panic.
Right. It's just one piece of the puzzle.
Hey there, thanks for tuning into The Wire. If you're enjoying the show and want to help us keep bringing you the latest in real estate, visit us at thewire.fm and click the Support the Wire button in the main navigation. Your support makes all the difference. Thank you. Now back to the show.
So what else is happening in the industry?
Well, there's been some interesting leadership changes. The San Diego Association of Realtors just named Tessa Holtz as their new CEO.
Oh, wow. What's her background?
She's got a lot of experience in association management, which could be really valuable for them, especially after all the ups and downs they've been through in recent years.
Yeah, they've had a bit of a roller coaster ride.
They have. And speaking of industry shakeups, Sherry Chris recently left her role as executive advisor at Anywhere.
No way. I thought she was a fixture there.
She was. She played a big part in shaping the real estate landscape, especially with the Better Homes and Gardens real estate brand.
It'll be interesting to see how Anywhere adapts without her.
Definitely. And on a completely different note, Constellation Software is unifying all their real estate products under the Constellation One brand.
That makes sense. Streamlining things can help them stay competitive.
Exactly. The real estate tech market is getting more and more crowded.
Companies are starting to realize they need to offer more integrated solutions, right?
Absolutely. They need to meet the evolving needs of agents, brokers, and consumers. Speaking of which, Have you heard about the changes to appraisal waivers?
I did hear something about that. What's going on?
Well, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are expanding appraisal waivers starting in 2025.
What does that mean for borrowers?
It could be huge, especially for first-time buyers. They're raising the loan-to-value limits for appraisal waivers.
So that means more people could qualify for a mortgage without having to get an appraisal.
Yep. It could save borrowers money and speed up the closing process.
That sounds like a win-win situation.
It could be. But of course, there are potential downsides as well. Some experts are worried about the accuracy of automated valuation models.
I see. So relying too much on technology could lead to problems.
Potentially. We need to find a balance between efficiency and accuracy.
That makes sense. Now, switching gears a bit, NAR has been pretty vocal about their concerns regarding the Waters of the United States rule.
Oh yeah, that's been a hot topic.
What's their issue with it?
They're saying that the current rule, even after being revised to align with the recent Supreme Court ruling, is still unclear about how wetlands are defined.
So it's creating uncertainty for property owners and developers.
Exactly. It highlights the ongoing tension between environmental protection and property rights.
It's a tough balancing act.
It is. And NAR is right in the thick of it, advocating for their members' interests. Speaking of people advocating for change, have you heard of Tanya Monestier?
Can't say that I have. Who is she?
She's a law professor who's been very critical of the NAR settlement.
Oh, right. The one we talked about earlier.
That's the one. She actually filed a formal objection to the settlement and is now part of the group appealing it.
Wow. She's really going after NAR.
She is. She thinks the settlement could create loopholes that undermine its intended purpose.
It's not every day you see a law professor taking on the real estate industry like this.
I know. It's pretty fascinating. And speaking of things that are fascinating, Redfin is reporting a 12% year-over-year increase in active listings.
Really? But I thought the market was slowing down.
It is, in many ways. But at the same time, inventory is increasing. We're now at a healthy 4 months of supply.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Not necessarily. It could be that the market is just adjusting to the new reality of higher mortgage rates.
Makes sense. So we'll have to wait and see how things shake out.
Exactly. It's a dynamic situation that's constantly evolving.
Well, that's real estate for you, right? Always full of surprises.
You got it. It really does feel like we're at a turning point, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of. So many things happening at once. It's hard to know what to expect.
That's for sure. But, we were talking about mortgage rates earlier and how they're really high right now. So I'm curious, what do you think? How high is too high? Like for the average buyer, I mean.
That's a tough one. I mean, I know the historical average for 30-year fixed-rate mortgages is around 8%. But, well, we've gotten used to those super low rates from the past few years.
Yeah, we have. So are we headed for like a crash or just a slowdown? What do you think?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. But the data does seem to suggest things are cooling down a bit.
How so?
Well, for one thing, those high mortgage rates are making homes less affordable. And while inventory is going up, it's still pretty tight compared to, historical levels.
Good point. And we can't forget about all those home builders with unsold inventory.
Yeah, that's a big red flag.
It is. But I don't think it necessarily means a crash is coming.
Okay, so what are you thinking?
I think we'll probably see prices stabilize, maybe even some small dips in certain markets. But a full-blown crash, I doubt it.
Why not?
Well, there's still really strong demand for housing. Plus, mortgage delinquencies and foreclosures are still pretty low.
Right. So what's the takeaway for our listeners then? Like, what should they be thinking about if they're planning on buying or selling anytime soon?
I'd say the key is to manage expectations. Don't expect to see the crazy price jumps we've had lately. And for buyers, just be patient, do your homework, and don't buy more than you can afford.
Solid advice.
And for sellers, I'd say be realistic about your price. Be ready to negotiate.
That all makes sense. Now let's talk about renters. How's all this affecting them?
Well, they're feeling the pressure, too. Rents have been going up, up, up.
Makes sense. With those high mortgage rates, some people are getting priced out of buying, so they're renting instead.
Exactly. And that just drives up demand for rentals, which pushes rents even higher.
Ugh, that's tough, especially places where there's not a lot of housing available.
Definitely. But, being aware of what's happening in the market can help people make smarter decisions.
That's true, whether they're buying, selling, or renting.
Right. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. What are your thoughts on all the new stuff happening in real estate, like iBuyers and those virtual tours?
Oh, yeah. The tech stuff?
Yeah. It's changing everything.
iBuyers are interesting. I mean, it's definitely a fast way to sell your home.
Right. Fast and convenient, but maybe not the best way to get top dollar. And then virtual tours.
Game changer. People can see properties from anywhere in the world.
So cool, right? It's like the future is here.
It really does feel that way sometimes. Who knows what's next?
Right. Technology is going to keep changing the game. More automation, more data, probably even more immersive experiences for buyers and sellers.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're saying agents and brokers are going to need to step up their game to keep up?
Definitely. The successful ones, anyway. They'll have to be tech savvy, understand the data, and be able to adapt to whatever comes next.
But even with all the technology, those people skills are still going to be important, right?
Absolutely. Being a good communicator, problem solver, that's never going to go out of style.
True. Real estate is about people, after all.
Exactly. Helping people find the right place to call home.
Well said. Now let's talk about the bigger picture for a minute. Housing affordability is a big problem in many parts of the country.
It really is. And everything we've been talking about today, rising mortgage rates, limited inventory, it all makes it even tougher for people to find a place they can afford.
So what can be done about it?
Well, we need to have honest conversations about this and look for solutions that work. Maybe that means policies that encourage more affordable housing development or programs to help people overcome the barriers to homeownership.
Right. It's not enough to just talk about the problem. We need action.
I agree. And we can't forget about sustainability either.
Oh, yeah. That's super important.
With climate change being such a big deal, we need to be building homes that are energy efficient, eco-friendly, and built to last.
You're so right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just good for the planet.
Nope. It's good for our health, our wallets, everything.
Totally. It's a win-win for everyone.
Mm.
It really is amazing how everything is connected, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like, take those appraisal waivers. Do you think they'll actually help with affordability in the long run?
Well, it's kind of tricky.
How so?
I mean, they could make it easier for some folks to get a mortgage, right? Especially in markets where appraisals come in low.
Right, so more people could buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that could also push prices up even more.
Oh, I see. So it could backfire?
It's possible. But there's also the flip side.
What do you mean?
Well, if more people can afford to buy, maybe that'll encourage builders to, build more homes.
Right, more supply.
Exactly. But that depends on whether builders want to take the risk.
Because of rising costs and stuff.
Yep. And the economy in general.
So it's kind of wait and see.
Pretty much. And you know what else could shake things up?
What's that?
The election in 2026.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Whoever wins could change a lot. Housing policy, taxes, even environmental rules.
It's crazy how much impact politics can have.
It really is. It all comes back to people and communities in the end.
That's true. And we can't forget about, the global stuff too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Trade wars, the economy, even climate change, all of it can affect real estate.
It's like, how do you even keep up with it all?
Well, that's what we're here for, right? To help people make sense of it all.
True. So as we wrap things up, what's the one big takeaway you'd leave our listeners with?
I'd say remember that people will always need a place to live.
That's right.
That need drives everything, no matter what else is going on in the world.
It brings it all back down to earth, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a great conversation.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun to chat about real estate.
And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
The Wire has been brought to you by Resora. Elevate your real estate marketing with Resora. Effortlessly design, manage, and automate stunning email and social campaigns with our intuitive platform built for real estate. Say goodbye to complex marketing. Get started with your free account today at resora.com. And by Notebook LM by Google. Unlock the power of your information with Notebook LM. Upload your documents and instantly access an expert AI that answers your questions, summarizes key points, and generates insights, all based on your specific sources. Become a knowledge master with Notebook LM. Try it now at notebooklm.google.